Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Tuesday morning BGA Coffee Talk. These are our weekly sessions where we will be providing industry insights to our agents. We share product updates, market trends, policy changes, and marketing that will help agents find the sales they need to grow their business. We post these every week on YouTube on Tuesday before noon, and for our listeners out there, on your podcast platform of choice. I'm your host, Trent, and today we have the privilege of hearing from Joe Ross, the Vice President of Sales Productivity and Business Development for CoreBridge Financial, about some powerful content he's going to share with us during an upcoming webinar. And more that he'll be sharing during an upcoming in-person event here in California. So we've got two events coming for you, one on webinar, one live here in California. Both will be about different topics, and so we're introducing those here for you today. Joe is one of the industry's best concept innovators. And might I say, he is quite the motivational speaker too. It's going to be hard for you to leave this session without being excited to go out and sell some life insurance. And I'm here to tell you that you don't want to miss this video or the second one that will be coming out to introduce the live event. And you just don't want to miss those two events. So tune in, we'll get you all prepared. And without further ado, Joe, thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me, Trent. I look forward to the opportunity, not only for this video, but also for the opportunity in the upcoming webinar and the in-person event out in California.
Great. Now, I want to take a quick look in how you can condense your 45-year life insurance career down to just how you got started into the industry.
Okay, so if you wind back the hands of time, my father owned a property casualty agency in that little town in Iowa where they filmed a movie you may have heard of. It's called The Field of Dreams. I worked in my father's property casualty insurance agency during the summers and the holidays throughout my high school. In 1978, during my sophomore year in high school, I got my property casualty license and my life and health insurance licenses working in my father's agency. So technically, you could say I've been a licensed agent since 1978, 46
Wow.
years. Yeah, long time. Well, the year after I got my licenses in 1978, in the very next year, 1979, E.F. Hutton, who some of you may still remember, officially introduced to the United States what we know today as universal life insurance. Now, I mentioned that my father was a property casualty agent, but he also produced a lot of life insurance too. And in 1981, he got a contract with E.F. Hutton Life, and we took off from there. You could say that I was there at the inception of universal life, and I never looked back. Our agency was one of the top 5 MGAs in the country for Hutton Life for 6 consecutive years. And I spent the majority of my early 20s presenting client seminars for property casualty agencies throughout the entire central United States. Quite an experience for a kid in his early 20s. And while all that was happening, I also got my insurance degree from the University of Iowa.
So in short, you're well qualified. So now you're in training agents. Did you desire to do this? Did you fall into it, so to speak?
Well, that's a good question. You know, when I think back to the 7 years that I spent on the road in the 1980s, presenting client seminars and teaching agents about universal life, that became the catalyst for things I probably never could have imagined. With my father's coaching, I developed presentation skills that became the springboard for what I would do with the rest of my career. I never imagined that my career would follow this path. So to that extent, you could say I fell into it.
And so briefly, what is it you do now?
Well, I consider myself to be a life insurance and financial services sales concept innovator and a motivational speaker. I like to take complex products and concepts and turn them into stories that agents can easily tell to inspire clients to take action.
Your stories are very inspiring, and I hope everyone gets a chance to listen to your webinar and hear more of those. But how'd you end up then just training agents in these concepts?
Well, in the 1980s, I wasn't presenting my stuff. I was presenting my father's stuff. I hadn't created anything of my own yet. But I took a big interest back then in split dollar and reverse split dollar. And that path exposed me to so many things about personal income tax, business tax, estate tax. By the time I mastered that content, my knowledge base was way ahead of most people in the life insurance industry, even seasoned veteran agents. When E.F. Hutton disappeared, I joined Merrill Lynch in Chicago as a life insurance specialist in 1990, covering 5 area branches totaling about 200 financial advisors. At that time, the stars were perfectly aligned for estate planning with life insurance. So I became an expert at that too. In 1991, while I was at Merrill Lynch, I created a spreadsheet that generated a graph showing the before and after effect of life insurance versus estate taxes. When I showed that concept to the 7 other life insurance specialists in my region, all of whom were at least 10 to 15 years older than me and 10 to 15 years more experienced than me, they were blown away. And that's when I began to realize my calling, to make complex concepts simple to understand and then sharing those stories with others.
I have a feeling in the next 2 years, you might be bringing that spreadsheet back out for the estate tax. Might be busy revisiting an early career presentation. But now, how many agents do you think you've helped over the years?
Ooh, that's a number that would be impossible for me to put my finger on. You know, I've often told people the easiest way to write an elevator pitch is to finish this sentence. I help people ... For example, I help people sleep better at night, or I help people create legacies they never imagined possible. One of the things that motivates me to do what I do is that I get to help the thousands of agents, help the tens of thousands of clients that help the hundreds of thousands of beneficiaries make a difference in their financial security. I don't think I can wrap my mind around the number of people I've helped during my 45 years, but it sure makes for a rewarding career.
Now, I know that many agents have had tremendous success using your ideas. Any stories stand out to you in particular?
I'll share a recent story that totally caught me off guard. I had shared a story we're going to talk about in the webinar and in the in-person event. It's called the butterfly chart. I shared my butterfly chart story with an agent nearly 2 years ago. I was presenting at a conference in early January of this year, 2 or 3 weeks ago. And that agent stopped me in the hallway to say, Joe, I need your checking account number and routing number, because I'm closing so many sales using your butterfly chart story that I feel like I need to cut you in on the commissions. Now, obviously, he was joking. He never got my checking account info, and he never shared his commissions with me. But suffice it to say that telling the stories I've created has had a powerful impact on a lot of agents and their clients.
That is, I mean, you can give him my information if you want, but that's the dream. You know, we need to train agents, and that's part of the goal with these webinars we do as well. But it doesn't seem like a lot of life insurance agents are getting that same training or mentoring they used to receive in the past. So what is it that you do to help address this issue?
Like you, Trent, I think about this a lot. Many people entering the life insurance business today are trained by being taught a lot of the technical tidbits. They learn about the policies, how they generally work, how to illustrate them, and then they're on their own. The challenge they face is that people don't buy life insurance for what life insurance is. They buy life insurance for what life insurance does. And I've found that the best way to communicate what life insurance does is through stories. When new agents can adopt my stories and share them with their clients, backed by the technical expertise they received from their product training, it's a match made in heaven. but the ability to communicate is the key. As I like to say, success in the life insurance industry is not about the products we sell, it's about the stories we tell.
So with more and more agents dividing their time into different product lines, how do your concepts help somebody that has a life insurance license, but they might also divide their time between different products like health benefits or managed money or property and casualty in your father's case?
Okay, so this is an area that has really catapulted lately. And I see a lot of people from those diverse backgrounds attending my webinars and my in-person presentations, specifically because when someone has a life insurance license, but primarily focuses on other financial products, I call them people for whom life insurance is a second language. Think about it. They understand life insurance a bit, but not thoroughly. They're not confident that they're doing it right. So they just choose not to talk about it. Instead, they fall back on the other products, the products they know and understand, what we would call their comfort zone. My experience has been that for people for whom life insurance is a second language, they often struggle with how to start a life insurance conversation. So to that end, I've been focusing a lot of energy on generating client-approved videos that tell my stories. Imagine, for example, a P&C agency, like the one I grew up in, that assigns someone in their agency to send an email to 5 personal lines clients every single Monday. That email is a well-worded email, and it includes a link to, let's just say, the butterfly chart video. In the close of the email, it says, "Give this video a look, and I'll call you on Thursday to see what you thought." So someone in the agency is assigned to sending 5 emails every Monday and making 5 follow-up phone calls every Thursday. Just ask people what they thought of the video and let the conversation flow. If it looks like the client is interested in learning more about how they can create additional financial security for themselves, you tell them that you'd like to arrange a conversation with the agent, the client, and one of the agent's colleagues that specializes in these ideas. It sounds something like this. "Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, I have a colleague who specializes in this area of planning. How about if you and I get together with him or her to talk about ideas?" A disciplined approach like this will open a lot of doors for financial professionals for whom life insurance is a second language.
Hmm. The disciplined approach. I think we're missing that. A lot of people are making the outbound calls now, and that's a great way to get people started. But I'm going to go off script here a little bit and bring it back. But I was meeting with some CFPs, and the life insurance and the long-term care was a checklist item for them. And I told them, well, I have both in one. And they were very confused by that. There's no, that doesn't exist. Long-term care, you can't build up cash value in it. They had no idea this existed for a while. But like you're saying, life insurance was a second language to them. And so I was thinking about you just because we were preparing for this, but also just thought I need to get these concepts in front of them. And so I started thinking I need to get your videos in front of them. So leading into my next question, getting back on script here, I mean, you use tried and true sales concepts, and obviously you create new ones. So if I wanted to send these out to people, are they laid out for anyone to follow?
Yeah, great point. Literally anybody who's willing to invest the time can master these stories. They just need the resources, and we've got the resources. You see, each time I develop a new story or concept, I back it up with videos and other collateral that can help agents master the ideas and describe the ideas to their clients and prospects.
So what knowledge is needed then to use your concepts?
Well, the stories I have in my library of concepts range from the very simple to the complex. As my father used to say, you need to learn how to crawl before you can walk, before you can run. There are stories in my library that can help even the most novice agent just starting in the industry, while there are other stories that will only appeal to agents with a fair amount of experience and sophistication, and then numerous stories in between.
So I suspect for these guys in particular, there's going to be a lot there for them to sink their teeth into. And for anyone, practicing seems to be key.
Well, yeah, it's one thing to watch a video
Right.
and think you've mastered it. It's an entire another thing to try to recite what was in that video. So I'm a huge advocate of the idea that there's no substitute for preparation. Interestingly, one problem many agents have is that they simply don't know how to practice their delivery of the presentation to make sure that they have it down. And the answer is literally staring them right in the face 5 hours a day. The answer is called a smartphone. I encourage agents to watch my videos and do their best to commit the stories to memory. Then prop their cell phone against something on their desk and tell the story while their phone records them. Play it back. See what you think. Compare the video you recorded to my original video. And then, like the shampoo bottle says, lather, rinse, and repeat. Repeat that process over and over again until the story is burned into your memory bank. Just remember the old adage: amateurs practice and practice until they get it right. Professionals practice and practice until they can't get it wrong.
I haven't heard that adage before until now. I like that. Leaving me with another good piece of wisdom, as always. So CoreBridge has a dynamic turnkey portal with many of these ideas. And I don't know if you're fully aware of this, but with all these videos we've been doing, in the email we send out, we also have been sending links to your CoreBridge concepts and ideas for agents to start taking these and moving forward. So just as a quick refresher to all these people who are new onto this, how does an agent access that?
Okay, so you can't click on what I'm talking about as I'm reciting this in the video. So I'll just give you kind of a broad brush oversight. We have cordoned off a part of one of our websites as a holding place for all of my stories and videos. The website, some of you may know it, is called Retire Stronger. And I'll show you how to get there during the webinar on February 15th, and again during the in-person event on March 13th.
So the campaigns, how do they work, and what's the repetition look like? What's the pace look like?
You know, I've known a lot of agents who have made an effort into doing a campaign. The unfortunate thing is many of the people I've watched do this, they start a campaign, they do it for a very short period of time, and then they stop before they even know what the results look like. Now, I'm a huge advocate of what I call basic blocking and tackling, not sophisticated stuff. The mundane is often the most successful. I like it when an agent can key in on one concept that makes sense to you, a concept that you can talk about comfortably and has a fair amount of opportunity within your target market. Find the concept or the concepts that appeal to you and begin there. Again, to begin with something as simple as sending 5 emails every Monday and following up with 5 phone calls every Thursday has the potential to generate so much activity that you might not be able to keep up with that pace. To me, it's kind of like the high intensity exercise programs that you've seen on TV. You know, the people went from chubby to chiseled in 3 months' time. Have you ever tried one of those programs? The intensity level is so high that most people struggle to get through the 3-month program in the first place. And if they do, they'll celebrate their accomplishment. But what happens next? They put all the weight back on again, because that level of intensity is simply not sustainable in the long term. And what I'm trying to focus on is sustainable. The person that just gets out of their house and takes a brisk walk every day, something they can sustain every day for the rest of their life, will likely end up in better health than the person who successfully went through the 90-day program. So when you send 5 emails a week and follow it up with 5 phone calls a week, you're doing that daily walk, not that high intensity burnout program. My point is, don't try to take over the world by completely changing the way you do business. Take small incremental steps that are sustainable over a long period of time. Eventually, those kinds of campaigns can become a habit. And then you can't imagine doing it any other way.
And the parallels to other areas of life is just immense. I mean, I train for weightlifting competitions. My wife trains for marathons. When we've tried to write our own programs, we end up going nowhere. You follow something like you're providing for them, you get a good program, there's a lot higher rate of success. So now we have a webinar that you're doing with us on February 15th. Can you give us a short preview of what you'll be talking about?
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about a story that I like to say gives purpose to permanent life insurance. I'm going to provide you with a very conversational story that engages clients and gets them to participate in the discussion with you.
So how'd you come up with the concept?
Well, I've already mentioned its name at a couple of points along our conversation. It's called the butterfly chart. And I built it because over my career, I've witnessed myself and so many other agents that find it easy to sell term life insurance. But when you ask agents for 2 or 3 good reasons why their client should own permanent life insurance, they kind of choke up. They don't know what to say. They often can't come up with one good reason why their client should have permanent life insurance. Many agents don't know why people need life insurance after they retire. This is where the butterfly chart story comes into play. It's an easy way for clients to see why they need term insurance for the near future and permanent life insurance, like IUL, for the long term. They'll see that it often takes a combination of both to truly achieve a lifetime of financial security. And the story finishes by providing the clients with an approach that can help them determine how much term life insurance they may want in their portfolio and how much permanent life insurance they might want.
Awesome. I've seen it. I'm excited to see you do it again. We'll not get too deep into it so that there's still more for people to learn on February 15th, and we hope to see you all there. So we'll close out with the question we ask everyone who hops on this webinar with me. We call it the Kohler question. Kohler is a company that makes very fine bathroom products, including toilets. And it's the idea that there's something that is ready to be flushed down the drain, and you got to reach in and pull it out. So you teach a lot of agents how to sell products better and how to condense down difficult ideas into simple concepts. So in this situation, I think it'd be a little different for you and interesting to ask you as a teacher and a coach. If you've experienced a case where an agent left one of your sessions and was able to rescue a case that otherwise would have gone down the Kohler.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure I can specifically answer your question exactly the way you may have wanted me to answer it.
Yeah.
But that's because my stories aren't intended to close cases. My stories are intended to open cases. As I like to say, you can't close the sale you never opened. So in my opinion, every case that was never opened is essentially the same as every case that was flushed down the drain. It was an opportunity lost. But I recently helped an agent revive a legacy planning case when the client said that age-old objection. We've all heard it before when you're doing legacy planning. Oh, my kids are going to get plenty. They don't need to get any more. In our session on March 13th, I'll show you how I used the pyramid of philanthropy to help the agent overcome that objection and keep the conversation moving. For anyone that deals with wealthy retirees, you'll want to see how easy this can be.
Well, I love that. And Joe, as always, it's been a pleasure. I never leave talking to you without having a big smile and being excited to go sell some more life insurance. And I can't really say that's true of a lot of people I talk to. So it's been an interesting look at your career evolution, insightful look into what we're going to be talking about on February 15th. And in addition to this relevant, actionable content, I'm eager to experience the meteorologist effect. To all of you viewing this video, be watching for the Zoom link for the webinar. We look forward to seeing you online, hopefully seeing you in person as well on March 13th. More details on that session to show up in your inbox soon. And as always, follow, like, subscribe. The more you participate in this content, the more you comment, the more you respond to the emails, subscribe to this, the more we can put out there and the more people we can recruit to get into this and the more we can tailor it to what is actually interesting for all of you. So with that, I'll see you all next Tuesday for our coffee talk. And thanks again, Joe, for joining us.